Was that true? No, that was under the shadow of terror. People were not able to speak. And there was revolt. They dared to speak. And the 2% of people were 100%. In fact, 98% was nothing. Even inside the army, he was not popular. But sometimes in politics there are some such points and clips. Without resolving those, the reality can be reflected. That is the situation. And as you said precisely that that is correct. We must try our best to transform them into a genuine democratic force. And so far the different models and features and characters of democracies are. I would like to request, if somebody having new, sometimes dies, but we shouldn't draw a lesson that we shouldn't take care of it. Sometimes somebody in bathroom sleeps and faints or sometimes dies. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't go into the bathroom and we shouldn't take bath. Those examples we cannot simplify. Maybe democracy in different countries are not perfect. Democracy and democratic process is a process which can be developed. But autocracy we cannot compare with democracy, and the weaknesses of democracy cannot be compared with the autocratic regime, in my opinion. Democracy is democracy. So we cannot draw lessons in another way. And we cannot present the weaknesses of democracy to defend or to justify autocracy. To justify on scientific means and ways, anti-people means and ways, which in the name of people suppress the people and give suffering to the people.
Your presentation of the Marxist Party or Maoist Party is too realistic, too stark to accept that a People's Party can be that. So your responsibility as Democrats, which you claim to be, you want to transform them. What is your way and what's your approach to transforming such an opponent? It's a very unique challenge for you. Can you share your process with this, number one? Number two, having elaborated all those things, where are the people of Nepal in this calculation? We have talked of parties, inter-party relationship. Where are the people? Is there any possibility of non-party political forces, people of Nepal, intervening in the way they did on the first time when they forced you to come together?
Yeah, very interesting question. To transform them, we should apply two methods. One,
Pardon me?
we must apply two methods.
I'm not talking, Mr. Chairman. Must share with us what is your process of transforming them.
Yeah.
You have given all the things,
Yeah.
but share with us what is your process of transforming them.
One, convincing them with scientific ideas.
That is begging the question. How will you convince them?
Yeah, we are doing that. We are doing that. There are so many experiences of particularly relating to the change, transformation and management of society in different places in different times. And some standard measures are there about the management of the society. There may be differences and disputes, but there are some fundamentals. What is beautiful society? Democratic society. Weaknesses may be, but there are some positive aspects and sides also. And we will try them to convince with the scientific ideas about the transformation and creating a developed, equal, just and democratic society. And achieving the means and ways of achieving such society should be similarly, if the constitutional and peaceful means and ways are available in such a situation, we should adhere on those policies and ways. And second, not only convincing them and discussions, but also checking them, giving pressure to them in practice. If they commit some illegal activities, we must deal with them accordingly. Both these things we can. And third, we have to take some serious, genuine measures to separate people from them and make clear people, convince people, and drive people towards the correct way. And they will be isolated from the correct way. These three methods we can apply, I think.
Yeah. I'm really at a loss actually after listening to you and your responses to various questions, because it seems to me that your own romance with Maoism and Mao continues full swing. And I don't understand how, if one remains committed to one version of Maoist ideology, you combat those who claim to be the genuine so-called inheritors of that legacy. The other question that I have from you is, can we think of any place in the world where communism, Maoism has brought democracy? They're antithetical. And they admit, they themselves do not claim to go by the democratic framework. Nowhere in the world. If it hasn't happened anywhere else in the world, I don't know how Nepal can do so. And when you say we will convince them of the scientific method, this sounds as if it's like being able to tell them, look, the sun rises in the east when they're saying it rises in the west, and you just take child in the morning and say, no, this is east. But the point is, they claim equally much that they've got the scientific methods monopoly. So it's your saying versus another. And what has failed thus far? What will be so new about your approach? You say you're trying to morally transform them. They want to transform you. That's their agenda. So how are you going to do it any better than what you have done so far? And to my mind, I think the real crisis in Nepal, I know you're looking at me aghast because you think I'm justifying what the Indian state is doing in tribal areas. Far from it. But I think the Indian state's doings and the Maoist doings, there's two sides of the same coin. Anybody who think they can defeat the Indian state with Maoist methods, and if the Indian state is stupid enough to think that they can defeat the Maoists with the kind of methods Chidambaram is using, should be both locked up in a lunatic asylum. And it's precisely because an alternative to both these is not viably available today to people. And it's both in India as well as in Nepal. There is no Nelson Mandela there to give confidence that there is a new vision of a new society, how to resolve the internal conflicts, class, caste, ethnicity, that there's a vision at least. There isn't, at least I don't get a sense of that coming from Nepal. I know very little about it. But the little that I know tells me that because that space doesn't exist, that worldview which can combat both Maoists and autocracy, and give people a sense of how to build a new society based on consensus, not constant warring groups. Class struggle is the basis on which communism builds. You keep struggling, to struggle, chalte raho, marte raho ek dusre ko. So it's really the absence of a viable alternative to autocracy and a viable alternative to the Maoist thing. And to say that we'll transform them is, then you have to tell us why you failed so far and what's going to be so new about your methods.
Thank you so much. Firstly, I don't want to involve and indulge in ideological debate, and I don't want to enter into the thorough discussion about Maoism or any system of governance, because we are in a particular situation and we need support from different sides. And we want to present our own model. We don't want to copy others. Model of democracy, we don't want to copy others. And we believe that Nelson Mandela wasn't brought from outside, wasn't justice from one day or one night from noble wisdom, but he spent 27 years in one time and other 7 years more. In fact, 34 years Nelson Mandela spent in prison. He was like an icon, not only for South Africa, but, and he was product of an ideology, a model of democracy, model of independence, and ways and means of achieving goals and aims, etc. And every country. Nobody was perhaps thinking at that time Mahatma Gandhi will appear in India. Perhaps Martin Luther King in USA or Nelson Mandela. There are similarly so many people in different countries. And in Nepal also, I think Nepal is not a barren land. We are, of course, in crisis, we are in trouble, but without experiencing troubles and crises, not even any country, I think, is developed. And we are, of course, it was very unpleasant, unhappy. And of course, we perhaps are incapable generation who are not being able to resolve the problems, which is swallowing us. We cannot, of course we go down our heads for not being able to resolve the problems. But we will mainly play the role to resolve these problems. There is no alternative. Again, Nelson Mandela will burn in its own way, in its own color, in Nepal, to resolve the Nepalese problem. Otherwise we have no alternative. We cannot be pessimistic. And again, I want to say, I want to request friends to be clear. Maoists talk about democratization of army. And what about the political party? Militarization of the political party they advocate. And they talk about democratization of the army. Autocratization of the society. What is this? Democratization of the army, autocratization of the state, and militarization of the party. What is this? In my opinion, we should not be in confusion. Society should be democratized. Party should be democratized. And army, their focus is to democratize the army. And how is Maoist party? Is democracy a drop of democracy inside their party? Are they practicing democracy inside party? Is their party a democratic? By practice, by values, by principles, by theories, etc. So we must be clear that this South, and there are so many human rights organizations, Maoist human rights organizations, who violate. In Nepali, there is a proverb. Afai dhami, afai boksi. At the same time, they believe on arms and combatants, and they talk about civilian supremacy. In stadium, they send with jerseys their players, their combatants to play. With or later, in games there used to be rules. Selection process is there, but they say, with the letter of Pushpa Kamal Das, these army people of mine will take part in this game. And I instruct to allow them to take part. No selection, nothing, no criteria, no application. What a guerrilla idea. And they do not follow. They never, there are so many agreements, but they just agree, but never. Never. That is the problem, so we must be clear about their intentions, about their ideas, what they talk, what lip service they pay. Visha Kumbam Payukham. Inside something different. Payukham. Very beautiful type of words they use. Civilian supremacy. We will fight for civilian supremacy. And with the use of guns. Look at me, I have gun, I have bullets, I can fire if you don't agree. I respect feelings of people, but keep it in mind, I have bullet. I have loaded gun. Do you agree or not? I respect feelings of people. Do you understand? Like,
चाइनीज रेवोल्यूशन में तो मेरे ख्याल से हम लोग
three questions, three last questions.
और लोगों के आखिरी सवाल
संगीता
Yeah, I think.
संगीता जी और मोहन जी. हाँ, अगर मेरे को किसी का मौका.
Yes, I think instead of demonizing Maoists, you know, or even your option of trying to transform them, why don't you give power to them? As you rightly said, when they were in power for 9 months, they had pajeros and they became so corrupt, and there was no difference between them and any other political party.
no,
Right? There was no difference. So why are we demonizing them? What are we afraid of? Because at the other hand, what you're saying is that Maoists they do not believe in any other kind of political voice or ideology, and they will go towards, capturing power and totalitarian. But on the other hand, you're also saying they're going to be as corrupt as any other party.
Yeah.
So I think maybe.
Corrupt with a gun is not democracy. They are for democracy.
Maybe they will become like West Bengal or Kerala.
No, they don't have guns in their hands.
They do.
They don't have.
Other political parties also have groups now who are fighting.
Anyway,
That is another. Secondly, to know about the Maoist. I mean, if we tackle the Maoist issue, I think problems in Nepal will not be resolved. If you look at the political discourse in Nepal, it is taking place at 2 levels. One at the political level, of course, where earlier it was monarchy, political parties and Maoists are fighting with each other, contesting each other. At another level, you have protest movements and groups that have emerged from below and who are challenging the governments over there. Since 1990, we see that happening. Of them, you have Janajatis, you have Dalits, you have Madesi groups, and you also have women groups. Now, I'm picking up only these 4 groups. There could be many more groups. These groups gave tactical alliance and support to Maoists, a few from these groups. So actually we do not know what is the real support base of the Maoists. We don't know that. So so when you spoke about people and you were talking about their support base, actually one is not very clear. Because even if you tackle Maoists as a political issue, you also have these groups and their genuine demands that has to be tackled. especially when Maoists, they came up with their, they declared a few, 13 or 14 districts as federal states.
Republic.
Federal. At that time, there were Janajati groups who were against it. So you realize that the contestation in Nepal is much more severe than the political contest between these political actors. And how are you going to tackle that?
We have no objection to give them power. They can lead the government. There is constitution, there is constituent assembly, there is parliament, and there is constitutional ways to form the government and lead the government. Nobody can object them. We are not using any power, army, police, anything against them. They can get majority. There are 601 MPs in the parliament, and they can get 301 or simple majority of the parliamentarians, and they can form the government, they can lead the government constitutionally. And they criticize this and that, and they attack this and that, everybody. When we were supporting the government, at that time, dozens of our veteran cadres were being killed, attacked, and property were confiscated by the Maoists. Even then we were supporting one thing. And when the doors are open to form the government, to lead the government, nobody has created any obstacle for them. So far my support is, I don't want to support them. Why? Because when we supported them, they did nothing to fulfill the responsibility to complete the present tasks given by the time, given by the parliament, etc. But they tried to capture the power. They concentrated all their efforts to plunder the country, to loot, for extortion, for intimidation, and to suppress the people and capture the power and establish autocratic, authoritarian regime. That was. And at that time, we said that, okay, as I said before, 3 preconditions. Adopt peaceful policy, adopt constitutional methods and ways, and accept to be a civilian political party. Okay, if Maoist is ready to fulfill these preconditions, we will support. They can lead. Madhav Nepal can lead, Nepali Congress can lead, UML can lead, why not they? But if they adhere on the policy of violence, unconstitutional way, and they want to remain a group of armed people, not to be a political party, civilian party, then we cannot support. That is our policy, because their intention is wrong. Secondly, is
Professor
Suresh was raising question that there are so many pressure groups and others in Nepal. Nepal is a diversified society, very rich for diversification. Of course, there are ethnic groups and others, but Nepal is not a country of majority. Nepal is a country of minority. The largest community is 17%. According to the Indian Constitution also, that is in minority. And 17% largest community of Kshatriyas. And Brahmins are 13%. The so-called untouchables are 13%. Muslims are 8%. And more than 50% altogether these people are. And there are so many ethnic groups. But out of those, only 7 ethnic groups are demanding their state. And what is the percentage in the respective areas where they are demanding? For Tamwan, the area of Guru, they are 21% and 79% are other. And all together 21% of the Guru population is not demanding federal state in their name. Because half about or less than, a little bit less than half population is outside the Tamwan, so-called Tamwan. And if they accept that, they must agree to be ruled by others. So they are not in favor. 5.8% population is of Neva, but not more than 3% are in Neva Mandal, Neva province, which they are demanding. Not more than or less than 50% of the community. Most of the Newar community, about 4% of the population are divided in different parts. So the situation of Nepal is not like of Europe. And for federalism, we have no Alaska where we advocate to hold together.
These ethnic groups are not Maoist, no?
No, they are not.
Yes.
They are not. But Maoists are provoking and creating problems everywhere. जैसे कि इसे कोर्ट सभाओं से कॉर्नर मीटिंग से बांटते हैं कि स्वायत्त शासन बांटते हैं, तो मैंने पुष्पकमल दाहाल को कहा एक बार कि आप ये कोर्ट सभा से ये क्यों स्वायत्त शासन बांटते हैं, इससे ज़्यादा तो हम आपको चंद्रमा देंगे, उतना ही है कि हम दे देंगे, वो चंद्रमा कुछ कर भी नहीं पाएंगे। सिमिलरली ये कोर्ट सभा से जो स्टेप दे दिया जा रहा है या दे दिया गया, ये कोई प्रयोग भी नहीं कर पाएगा, कोई इसका मतलब भी नहीं।
Dr. Mohanty, very brief.
Yeah. I just want to ask, you said that China does not interfere in the internal affairs of Nepal. I would like to know from you whether India is interfering in the internal affairs of Nepal.